The cosmos is unquantifiably vast. As cliché as that sounds, it really is. It's impossible to grasp its sheer expanse with our limited lower mental faculties. And what's more, it's still expanding. The edges of our universe, if that actually is a thing, is being accelerated by a dark, negative, repulsive pressure called dark energy. Dark energy makes up about 68 to 72% of the total mass energy of our cosmos, with dark matter being another contributor, and only a small amount, about 4.6%, is baryonic matter, or what we define as common matter. Quintessence refers to the fifth and highest element within classical and medieval philosophy. This element permeates all of nature, with its alternative noun being ether. This all-encompassing subtle energy is the synergy of all elements. Ether is therefore space. It is that which contains and holds, but also that which expands. So the similarities between the nature of ether, or the quintessence of the cosmic vibratory frequencies, to that of dark energy are striking. But within this scalar system of negative repulsive energy comes the unsettling inevitable truth of cosmic entropy. Entropy is a thermodynamic quantity representing the unavailability of a system's thermal energy for conversion into mechanical work. In layman's terms, it is the point where there isn't enough energy present to continue a process. See, because our universe expands, so does the vacuum of space within it, especially on the subatomic level. As particles attempt to proliferate the additional space, they lose their animating faculties, which generate thermodynamic quantity for mechanical work within our cosmos. So what's the result of this? Well, our universe is going to eventually get really, really, really cold, as even the quarks and gluons slow down in the grand expanse of our space, and our universe ceases to exist. So whilst the idea of the universe ending with a whimper and not a bang might sound somewhat morose, one must remember that this is of course a theory for the ending of our cosmos and not necessarily an ultimate truth. However, the explanation put forth by Theosophists and followers of the Rosicrucian manuscripts, and even those of the Ordo Templi Oriens, postulate a different idea, and have used stories from the Rig Veda and Vedic manuscripts to propagate and teach this view. The primordial god Varuna is a Vedic senior deity initially associated with the sky and later the seas. His archetype was found within the oldest Vedic literature of Hinduism. Varuna was the first god of individualization within the cosmos and is the highest asura. He ruled over the gods before being convinced by his brother Indra to step down. In Vedic astrology, Varuna rules over the 24th nakshatra of Shadabhaisha, meaning 100 flowers or 100 stars. As a chieftain god, Varuna possessed aspects of a solar deity. And because Varuna was the first individualization of the gods, Varuna thereby sits as the lord of creation, as it was his breath into the empty void, which filled it with space and potential for cosmic animation. This breath is seen through the mental and scientifically orientated minds as dark energy, and the reaches of our universe's expansion being the initial breath of Varuna. Dark energy and dark matter seem to share a codependent cosmic relationship, as dark matter, which constitutes around 26% of the universal mass, condenses and acts as the scaffolding support for baryonic matter in the form of galaxies and clusters, following the dark matter concentrations. This sits perfectly with the Vedic explanation for the breath of Varuna, as the clusters of galaxies and voids present are strikingly similar to our own respiratory system, such as the bronchioles, in clusters connected to other respiratory networks. Not to mention the similarities found with the neural axon connectivity of the brain, especially when one considers the nakshatra of Shadabhaisha is in sidereal Aquarius, which deals with the third ray of active intelligence and is very active on the etheric mental plane. An alternative explanation for the end of our universe is that eventually the effects of gravity will catch up with dark energy's negative repulsive force, and the universe will burst or condense on itself, with a center forge of extreme energy and heat due to the crushing pressure of matter being squashed together at the center. At the end of it all, the overall conclusion is that all things must eventually come to an end. However, the purpose of this video is to prove that whilst this idea is a cosmic truth, There is also a way around this. It is something that every conscious being is a part of, right from the mineral kingdom through to the astral dimensions beyond our senses. So without sitting on the edge any further, let's dive into a journey which will challenge and twist our idea of aspects within our own natal birth chart, and break out into the microcosm within us all.
Stop, I'm already late! Late for what? I'm going on an adventure!
Mountains cold, to dungeons deep and caverns old, we must away.
Every great adventure story has one thing in common: the development and evolution of a character's arc, the struggles and obstacles, the tension and plight, the trials and ultimately the tribulation. All play into the evolution of characters within the story. This underpinning tension which thrusts the protagonist into deathly and unpredictable scenarios that are adversarial are the very building blocks which help the character grow and complete their arc.
I don't know, do I lie her down? Do I lie her down? I don't know what to do, man.
As this suffering and struggle plays out in books and on our screens, it is only moments. Yet life itself seems filled with it, at times feeling like the very purpose of life is to suffer and drown, forgotten and never heard. Surely this cosmic battle, this internal strife at times stripping us down and leaving our emotions barren and cast amongst jagged rocks amongst the great oceans, with the unsettling fear they may never be found again, exists for a purpose. There must be meaning somewhere. Malice. Malice is the nourishment of the world. This line comes from the book The Divine Pymander, which is the first book written by Hermes Trismegistus and translated by John Everard. The lines from this book provide a way forward for any seeker of truth, as they lay out the natural laws by which we are governed. The line "Malice is the nourishment of the world" is in reference to the constant supply and demand within our cosmic arena, from the subatomic dimensions of reality through to the grandest scope of expansion. For something to exist, another thing must supply it. This lesson is taught through our own solar star, because for it to exist and provide light and radiation for the rest of the solar system to benefit, it must force positive protons and their hydrogen nuclei against laws such as magnetism and nuclear force to collide violently, to form into helium atoms. Just as we break down food to survive, this action, this necessity for transferal of energy brings with it tension and suffering, as one state is consumed and transformed into another. Within the natal birth chart comes the effects and influences of aspects, such as conjunctions, trines, sextiles, quintiles, and of course squares. Squares, it seems, being the least favorite for many people, because whilst the idea of conjunctions seem easy to deal with, squares bring forth tension and hard lessons filled in many cases with suffering. However, squares, it seems, according to many great thinkers and sages, are the most important facet of any natal birth chart, because for change to occur and rid itself of the tamasic inertia, great forces of tension must be present. For evolution to occur, there must be the determination for change, which is the cosmic challenge handed down, as we choose to incarnate and push forward our collective evolution, but on an individualized unit, such as that throughout our lives.
This is it.
This is what?
If I take one more step, it'll be the farthest away from home I've ever been.
Come on, Sam.
Remember what Bilbo used to say? It's a dangerous business.
Frodo, going out your door, you step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to.
From the teachings of Theosophy, the system of planetary chains takes formation. As planetary chains work through the esoteric, in this sense by esoteric I'm referring to the literal meaning as unseen, electromagnetic frequencies emitted by the 7 classical grahas or planets within our solar system. The idea of planetary chains was first published in 1883 by Alfred Percy Sinnett in his book Esoteric Buddhism. I'm quoting, "The life and evolutionary process of this planet in reference to Earth are linked with the life and evolutionary processes of several other planets. One globe does not afford nature scope for these processes by which mankind has been evoked from chaos. But these processes do not require more than a limited and definite number of globes." Each of these planetary chains fall within rounds, as each round is symbolic of the circular-like serpentary nature of our evolution. These rounds, kind of like boxing rounds, have different layers of influence here on planet Earth, as the influences of the other planets take precedence during their assigned round, to usher in their own personal electromagnetic energies which trigger different evolutionary processes and responses. Consciousness is technology, and technology, consciousness. Every great idea and invention was done with the awareness that it was a possibility that could be brought into reality. The Kardashev scale is a method of measuring a civilization's level of technological advancement based on the amount of energy it is able to use. The scale was proposed by Soviet astronomer Nikolai Kardashev in 1964. The scale is important as it speculates the length of time and general traits of civilizations up until what is termed a Type 5 civilization, but stopping short of speculating further. A Type 5 civilization would in theory be able to escape this universe, having control over all energy outlets within it, and understanding how to traverse the multiverse. Though this is in the realms of theory and science fiction, it is still relevant, because any civilization who is capable of attaining such feats would have to push against the tensions and evolutionary plateaus, the same way we are through tensions within our chart, which are imprinted into our lives. The entire premise of the cosmic collective evolutionary tale is that eventually when the universe takes its last breath, the conscious influence of Brahma might find refuge in either alternative states of existence or another universe entirely. This is why the tensions experienced by all conscious beings in our universe are designed to replenish the collective with the aim of attaining a state beyond the limitations of mortality. Vedic astrology openly views the role of squares in the natal chart as paramount for the natal chart to work. As I mentioned before, for any operation to commence, there must be energy, and squares play the role of providing this energy. People with many squares in their natal chart are usually people with the most charged up potential within our physical reality, aka the go-getters. Mahatma is Sanskrit for great soul and can be translated to ascended masters. The term was popularized in theosophical literature when the woman termed the mother of theosophy, Helena Blavatsky, claimed her teachers were adepts or Mahatmas from Asia. These teachers worked outside our physical space, teaching us through esoteric channels. The presence of these adepts, who influence us through our astral and mental field, are individuals who once upon a time were like you and me. Their pursuit of evolutionary ascension towards the quintessence of cosmic perfection acts as a guiding path towards our own etheric contributions to the evolution of the cosmic collective. Rise and rise again. The state of play is at work. May those who seek find, and those who find teach. Our cosmos is our lessons hall. Our life, a dancing ball. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the video, drop a like down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care.